In this example, we're going to add on to this little loop that we've started. And we're going to try to take a hi-hat sound. And to be honest with you, this could come from any drum loop and we should be able to make it fit. I'm actually not going to even spend any time really selecting a drum loop. I'm just going to pick maybe one of the first things that comes up. We're going to try to isolate some kind of a hat sound, and then we're going to use the sampler. And the reason we're using the sampler is for speed. We could always do it in an audio track. We could do it in that domain, but hopefully the sampler will speed things up. We can get an interesting result relatively quickly. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to go and we're just going to grab this one here. And I'm going to drag it. I'm going to pull it all the way to the left, and that's going to create a sampler for us. And now we can listen to that. And let's actually bring down that velocity sensitivity. And there's lots and lots of hat sounds in here. So it doesn't really matter what I isolate. Let's just start to drag this and try to find a hat sound we like. That one would be fine. We're also going to get a little bit of a layer of some kind of ethnic percussion hit. I'm wondering if I want that one or if I want this one. They sound basically identical. So we'll just use this one. We'll grab our ending point. And then once we create that, we can zoom in so we can get it right to the start of that. And I'm actually not too concerned with whatever the pitch is of that sound. I know that this is an E minor, so it may not actually be fitting with what we have going on here in C major, but that's okay. Remember, we have the repitch right here, which if we drag that, will adjust the playback speed and also bring down the pitch. And that actually sounds pretty cool, but let's go back to 100 for now, and let's just lay down our pattern. So let's make it a 2-bar clip. And one of the features in Bitwig is now that you can just paint something in right to the grid. So we'll just go with 16th notes. I'm not sure if that's going to be great, but we will try it out. So if I press 3, I can move over to my pen tool. And then if I hold down Alt, I should just be able to draw these in. And right now, it's probably not going to sound very good. Let's listen to it. We'll just loop this first part. And honestly, that doesn't sound that bad, but it doesn't really fit, at least not yet. So let's go back into our clip. We're going to grab all these guys, and I'm going to make them just a tiny bit shorter. And the reason for that is it allows me to then go in and adjust things like velocity or add some swing to this and some humanization just to pull some things off the grid. I'm going to go back in. I'm going to increase the velocity sensitivity because I am going to mess around with that a little bit. We'll also come in and mess with the envelope here. We'll probably mess with that. We could even throw some modulators on as well just to make things interesting. The other thing I want to do, and one of the things you can take advantage of in Bitwig, is kind of like that micro pitch, but your instrument has to be pitched. So right now, if we're playing different keys, it makes no difference. What we see is that we set this at C2. So let's just go ahead and actually turn this on to be pitched, and let's set it to C2. And unlike the last example where we used a tuner and an auto pitch plugin, this time we're just going to try to use our ears to see if we can find something that sounds cool. So let's just play this back, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add that quantize. Okay, grid to 16ths, straight. We're gonna add in some shuffle. Let's add about 15 of that. Let's add about 6 of that and just see if we like what it does. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Now to add a little bit more realism, we'll throw in our velocity. So we can see what it's doing if we bring this up. We could always go in and kind of edit that ourselves. And on the first one, I usually do want that to be a little bit louder. Maybe we'll do something crazy like this. I've got to still hear it. And of course, if we were really taking our time, we'd probably pull some things out. We wouldn't use all those notes because that gets kind of repetitive quickly. But I'm also going to go in here. I am going to start to mess with this repitch here just at the start before we add more pitch variation. So that's pretty cool. And then what we'll do is we'll go back into the clip again, and we're going to grab all these guys, and we're going to take our pitch this time. And because we are key tracking, we will hear variation. So I want to solo it. And we will EQ it a little bit as well after. Helps if I grab the notes. And I'm cool with a little bit of insane variation. And now let's listen to it in context. That's going to probably be too extreme. And towards the end, if we want to have a little bit of fun, maybe towards the end, we'll just mix in, change a few of these notes just for fun. And it's not something I necessarily want the listener to be aware of per se, but it's one of those variations in the background that's just there for fun. Just to keep your ear engaged. And you can kind of hear it going ham. But it's not that noticeable. And I actually think what I'll do is I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to add some EQ, probably a little bit of a transient shaper, and we'll see if we can get this to really fit nicely with the rest of our loop that we have going. So this is now what the hi-hat pattern sounds like. Okay, and we can then listen to it in context with everything else that I've added in. Again, I just did this really quick, so obviously in real life, you're going to be spending a lot more time really trying to nail these sounds and get them all to fit. But for now, this is what it sounds like. We'll play from the beginning. And I think that hi-hat fits just fine with the pattern that we're working on. It might still take a little bit of fine tuning, but to be totally honest with you, based on even just this mode in the sampler, you could take basically any hi-hat sound or even any drum sound and probably convert it into something that is usable if you just use a little bit of imagination and a little trial and error. So thanks for watching, and hopefully you'll stick around for the next video.